Short-term versus long-term, Airbnb versus traditional tenancy. They're actually two completely different investment strategies altogether, and you can't even compare the two to begin with. As an investor, you have to make a decision prior to getting into investment whether or not you're going to go short-term path or whether you're going to go long-term path. The property you buy, the location you buy, how you manage it, how much time it takes up, the risk profile is completely different between the two strategies. Short-term stay is higher return, higher risk, without any doubt. If you buy into the right location and you buy into the right area, the return is definitely higher. There's no doubt about that. It's not an argument, it's just a fact. Your rental income can be probably 2 or 3 times higher than a comparable long-term tenancy. But don't forget, your vacancy is going to be higher as well. There's going to be seasonal ups and downs in the market. COVID will come along and you probably won't get a tenant for a whole year. That's a problem. There are things that can happen out of your control. Now, long-term would never ever go away. Why? Because it's a fundamental housing need for our market. It's a fundamental human need. That's what it is. So don't think of it as a comparison to short-term. Short-term is when somebody goes on a holiday. That's what it is. It's not a need, it's a want. So people can choose not to go on holidays anymore, but they can't choose not to have a roof over their heads. Everyone needs to live somewhere. Everyone needs to pay some sort of rent. Only exceptions to that are kids that are still living with parents. That's the only exception. But everybody else has to live somewhere. And so when you get into that market, it's a long-term, highly sustainable market that will never ever disappear. In fact, that market will become more prevalent as property prices increase because less and less people will be able to afford to buy, which pushes more people out into the renting pool. The average income earner has to literally go 60 to 70 kilometers outside the city just to afford something. You're still paying $700,000 to $800,000 for a house. It's still expensive. It's not cheap anymore. What that means is that there's going to be a huge rental market coming up in the future. So that market will never go away. That's your long-term tenant. And then where you buy, what you buy will be determined by that. Now, for a short-term investment, your considerations are very, very different. You know, you're not buying in metropolitan Sydney. You're probably buying in the Blue Mountains somewhere where people are going holidays to. It's easy maintenance and you have to hire cleaners. You're probably gonna have to do a lot of the work yourself. So it's almost like a job. It's not just a passive investment. So one's more of an active style of investment where you're actively working for an investment. You have to maintain the tenants, put the bookings on Airbnb, deal with all the inquiries. You're basically an admin to your portfolio. The other form of investment, long-term tenant one, you don't really have to do anything. You can hire a property manager. They're only going to charge you 3 to 5% property management fees anyway. It's a passive investment. You don't have to put a lot of time into that to make it work. So they're two wildly different investment strategies. One is not better than the other. They're just different. And to understand which one works for someone personally isn't always about how much return. People always default to short-term is better return, therefore I'm going to do short-term. It's not as simple as that. I'm sorry. That's a very amateur way of thinking about it. Not everything is about return.